Welcome to Oregon Cash Flow Pro. My name is James Barber, and if you are a fan of the high dividend income ETFs that are all the rage out there right now, then I have a treat for you. I stumbled across this little channel. They're growing, and we're going to help them grow, I hope, that put out a spreadsheet. This is the video that they put out where they revealed their plan for 2026 and these dividends. And it was a really cool spreadsheet. This is the channel here on YouTube, Dividends on Repeat. I'm going to link to it in the description here below. Find them, give them a subscribe, and hit like on that video because you're going to want this spreadsheet. Now, you don't have to do that, but they put together all this work on the spreadsheet, and it's free. And the only thing they ask is that you hit that subscribe button. So give them a subscribe, check out the spreadsheet. Make a copy of it. It's really cool. I'm going to go over it here in my video a little bit with my current portfolio of high dividend income ETFs. And I actually made some changes to the spreadsheet on my end to upgrade it a bit. Now, for those of you in my Discord, I will make that available with the upgrade. But even if you're in my Discord and you're going to get this upgraded spreadsheet from me, go give these guys a like and a subscribe because I wouldn't have it if it weren't for them. I only did a couple of days worth of work to update this thing. I'm no spreadsheet guru. I couldn't have put together what they put together. We really appreciate what these guys put together. I haven't watched really anything on their channel except for this, but I bet they got some pretty good info when it comes to these high dividend income ETFs. Now I'm going to hop over to the spreadsheet, but I am going to be putting out a video later this week. I want you to make sure to watch it because we're going to talk more about these high dividend income ETFs. If you guys are in them, there's some things that you really need to know about them and how to treat them inside of your portfolio. Don't look at the big dividends and just assume that we found the golden goose. That is not necessarily the case, okay? But without further ado, let's hop over to the actual spreadsheet. You're going to want to watch their video, though, to see how to use most of this spreadsheet because I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I'm only using a small part of it. I'm not using some of the tabs that you may end up wanting to use. So shout out again to Dividends on Repeat for making this cool spreadsheet. And if you reach out to me, I'll give you the upgraded spreadsheet that I did. And maybe you can just add the tabs that I did to your spreadsheet that you're sharing with everybody because you definitely deserve the credit for putting in that work. And I hope you grow your channel. All right, first things first. This is the spreadsheet as I got it from them. You can see we've got, what's this? 7 tabs at the bottom. There's a guide, tells you how to use it from them. And then you've got holdings, distributions, plan detail, overview, summary, and fund comparison. These are all really cool. Some of this, I already input some of my holdings, but this is not what we're going to look at for the remaining part of this video, and I'm going to tell you why in just a minute. So for theirs, you're going to add into the white spaces here, you're going to add how many shares you own, what's your average price paid, and then it's going to do all these calculations for you. It's going to tell you your current dividend income, how many months until you've paid for those shares. This is some cool stuff. You can make a goal and it'll tell you how much funds you need to reach that goal. What I found this was lacking was I have multiple brokerage accounts and I would have to go manually calculate how many shares I have in each brokerage account, what's the average share price, how do I combine that so that these numbers are all accurate? And that's complicated. And then what happens in the future if I buy or sell some of these shares, if I buy more or if I sell some of them? There wasn't a good way to track that inside of this spreadsheet. If you want to use theirs for what it's good for, which is where you're currently at and making a plan for the future, because you can just plug in how many shares you want to buy in the future, and it'll give you a lot of information on that. You can use their spreadsheet. What I did was I added a few more steps, and I added 2 more tabs, one for tracking our cost basis and one for tracking our brokerage accounts. All right, the first thing that you're going to do in my spreadsheet is go to the brokerages tab and fill out your brokerages. I have 2 spreadsheets, one for non-qualified funds and one for qualified funds. So these are my non-qualified funds. Oops, I forgot a step as I was recording that. So this is getting inserted after the fact, one of the things you need to do is input the ticker. If you put the ticker in here, it will automatically add the tickers here. So these will change. I listed these all the way up to L, where it's currently at. So if you expand this, you're going to need to expand this as well. And you can just do that by dragging. So with that change made, I updated the steps. Step 1 is go to that holdings tab, enter those ticker symbols. Everything should be complete now. Step number 2, we're going to go to the cost basis tab, and we're going to input our cost basis. What did we own? Now, what I did was I took everything up until yesterday or the day before yesterday, and I inputted that in here. Once you input that in here, it should automatically fill the rest of these out. This was where all the work went into it for me, was figuring out the formulas. I put all of the brokerages in here. It automatically ties it to the brokerage tab, and it's going to fill this stuff out. The dates don't mean anything. It's just for you to be able to track this stuff if you want to make sure that you actually recorded a trade. What it tracks is these boxes here. So let's take a look here. What happens if I change this, and for LFGY, instead of there being 10 in my public account, I make it 5,000. We're going to see over here, LFGY went up to 5,400. And you can see the cost adjusted right here. Now this tab is also tied to the first page, the holdings. So you can see that now we have 5,400 shares over here. Now, we don't actually have 5,400. I'm just showing you how this works. What happens if we sell some of these? Just for ease of purpose, let's go back in here, and let's say we sell 2,000 of these. We went from 5,400 to 3,400, and our cost basis reflected it. Now, in this case, I didn't even change the price. But of course, maybe we sold it because it went up, and now it represents too much as a percentage of the holdings that we would like. And so we want to rediversify. So let's say the cost that we sold it for was actually $50. You could see our new average cost here. Now, the reason I wanted to do this is because I know in my brokerage accounts, they don't do a very good job. When I sell some shares, it takes out the lot of shares that I sold, and it leaves like the old dollar amount that I paid for the other shares that I didn't sell. And it doesn't give me an actual average that reflects whether I profited from this. Our actual cost is definitely going to be affected by purchases and shares, and I wanted something to track that. And this spreadsheet was the perfect place to implement this. Now, it's multiple brokerages that this happens to me. There might be some that do a good job of that, but I haven't found them yet. So this will track it for me, and it does this separate from the dividends that get paid out. Where you track the dividends is in the distributions tab. You're going to put in the distributions tab all the dividends that get paid out. And in the holdings tab, it's going to tell you all of your dividends paid to date. And it's going to subtract that from your cost basis. And you're going to be able to see everything. You'll be able to see the return on investment after the dividends, the return without the dividends, which of course, most of these things are really bad numbers. That's the NAV erosion, folks. But you got to count the dividends for your actual total return. So let's get rid of these that didn't actually happen. Now, when you do add in, you're going to need to pull down the total cost. So the total cost has a formula in it. None of these other ones have a formula in it. So you just pull that down when you make a new one. That's it. And then when you input these things, it'll calculate here and it'll add or subtract over here. Now, right here, you can see the total across all brokerages. This was actually pretty easy for me to set this up. The challenge came in is I actually wanted to track each brokerage. What is my average cost at each brokerage as well? Because my brokers don't keep track of it very good. So when I go in to look at my brokerage account, if I sell some shares, it's not going to show me the actual cost. And it's going to be hard for me to calculate if the dividends have offset it for any particular brokerage. So that's what this is for. These are connected. Once you input this here, the rest of this gets taken care of. You're welcome. Hopefully it'll help you. It's definitely going to help me, but you shouldn't have to input anything on the rest of this. It should be automatic. That's it. I just wanted to share that with you. Pretty cool. Again, shout out to Dividends on Repeat. Now, wait a second. I can't end this video just yet. I got to show you where we're actually at. So this is my non-qualified fund. So these are my after-tax brokerage accounts. And currently, we got 400 LFGY, 251 qdte, 10 MISTI, 150 XBTY, and 850 ULTI. That translates into current dividends each month, $1,620.90, based on the average dividend over the last 3 payouts. Dividends to date, what we've received here, and you can see our total return after those. And then I just threw in some goals. So if I end up buying a bunch more of these things, that's how much money we need. And this is the projected dividend each month. That's a little bit motivating, isn't it? All right, we've got the distributions listed there. And I just combined all my previous distributions in that one. And the other ones I purchased recently. So we didn't have very much. I was able to input those. I don't use this tab. I don't really want to put in a plan. It's probably a time thing, but I didn't really watch how to use it. And then you've got your overview tab, which if you're using margin, you can kind of track that as well. Watch their video for how to do this. I didn't pay attention. I'm not using margin at the moment. I probably will at some point in the future. And so I'll have to go look back and see how to use this. When you go to the summary, this doesn't tell me a whole lot either, but you plug in your tax bracket. And since this is an after-tax account, it gives you an idea of the taxes that you're going to have owed. I did spend money, so I don't know where it's calculating this. So I'm not sure if this is of value to me. I think it probably adds here if you make a plan and you spend money over in the plan. That's my guess. I didn't pay that much attention to that part of their video either. I still got things to learn about this, but the fund comparison is cool because you can just choose these different ones. MISTI pays out monthly. The ROI over the next 12 months, 101%. XBTY is weekly. ULTI, weekly. This is the ROI based on the last 3 dividend payments. So pretty cool way to just plug in a few of these high dividend income ETFs and see how they compare. I may end up using that. All right, that's it. That's all I got for you. Added a couple of tabs, which are really helpful in my opinion. So if you're interested, if you're in my Discord, reach out to me. Actually, I'll probably make a post alerting you to it. If you're not in the Discord, what are you waiting for? You can join this channel as a member for $1. It's cheap. Hop in the Discord and you can get the updated spreadsheet. But if you do that, be sure to go over and hit that subscribe button for these guys that created the spreadsheet. Again, that's Dividends on Repeat. They're at 1.2 thousand subscribers. Let's see if we can get that up for them in appreciation for them creating this spreadsheet. Thanks, guys. And with that, we'll see you next time. The next 20 seconds determine your future. Subscribe, meet with me, or continue educating yourself with these videos right over here. I appreciate you. Now go maximize your cash flow.